Yeah, so as Zoli said, I'm the CEO of Evertest. I founded this company about 3 years ago. And our main focus is the automation and performance testing. Last year, if you have heard about my speech, then it was about usability. Also, sometimes we do some usability testing. But most of the customers require our automation service. The clients comes from different countries. Mostly I work for French startups. One of the most permanent projects we have come from France. But also we have clients from USA and Canada. And the French customer who is in startups, and the product is about photo management. You can upload basically sports car photos, organize in albums, whatever. It's an Angular JS application. And after that, we built a framework-based Selenium and also in Java, like Corina showed in the previous presentation. Then one time my client said that, okay, of the developer part, because testing is here in Budapest, but the development part is in Paris, and he said that he heard about Protractor, and let's give it a try. And he asked me that, okay, do you have experience in Protractor? And I said yes. Actually, I say all the time yes, because I need to gain the client trust, and also we want to give it a try. Then what happened if we make investigation other frameworks? Okay, so what my goal is with this presentation is to give you a very, very high-level overview of this framework and highlight the difference between Selenium and Protractor. Okay, who is familiar with Selenium? Raise your hand. Okay, bunch of Selenium guys here. So highlight the differences between Selenium and Protractor. What are the situations when you can use this one? And what are the benefits and the drawbacks of this framework? Okay. Okay, first of all, what Protractor is. So Protractor is a testing framework especially for Angular JS application. You can test non-Angular applications too, but mostly because it provides handy features, what I want to show you, this is the most useful if you test against Angular applications. It is not a different stuff. We do not reinvent anything. But Protractor is built on the top of Selenium. So you still drive Selenium WebDriver, and you write JavaScript code, but it's basically a wrapper for Selenium WebDriver or WebDriver JS. So as you see, many Selenium guys here, and you know that you can implement, I don't know how many different languages in Selenium. Protractor is dedicated for JavaScript and for Angular applications. But as you see here in the picture, that basically it's a wrapper. It's a wrapper for WebDriver JS. And it is a Node.js application. And through the Selenium server, we can drive our Angular application. I said it's a Node.js application. So if you want to try it, then let's speak about some preconditions. Not a big deal. So if you have the Node.js package manager, you need to install it. And the difference in case of Protractor, then you need to start, update, and shut down the Selenium servers through the console with these commands. But actually, this is it. So if you are familiar with Java, then probably you start the server in a different way. Maybe you pack the jar files in your project or whatever. Here, it's enough if you start from the command line. There are other small preconditions like Java or whatever. You can search on the internet. Anyway, the setup is not so complex. Let's talk about the structure of a Protractor test. Here, you need to write a configuration file and a specification file. The specification file contains the automated test steps. Okay, and what the configuration is, it defines the Selenium server, the test framework, okay, we will see that what is it, and some capabilities. I mean capabilities that we will see at the end of the presentation some cross-browser execution, and the capability is the target environment, like what kind of browser you want to use, and so on. But let's see an exact. I want to bring you the simplest example what I can. Okay, actually I pulled the simplest tutorial because I want that you need to understand that if you test against an Angular application, then what are the benefits? Why do you want to give it a try? Okay, this is a simple example, the simplest test step that let's visit that web page. And as you see, this is the specification. And this is how it looks like a configuration. Actually, I can show you the exact files. I'm just deleting this. And as you see, here is the demo.js. And what is this describe and it? Anybody? Maybe you have heard about that. This is the Jasmine. This is the default framework for Protractor tests. It is a BDD framework in the JavaScript world. So who is familiar with BDD or ATDD or whatever? Yeah, this is okay. Then you know that you can define sentences, high-level sentences, instead of just statements and whatever. Why? Because of the readability. So hopefully if your test is failed at some point, then maybe your manager also, you will understand what was the reason. Yeah, so in case of this Jasmine, actually, you can use other frameworks too, but Jasmine is the most popular here. Then here is the name of the test after the describe, and here is the it. This is the sentence which can contain more statements, but encapsulate our statements. Okay, and as I promised, then also I showed you the configuration. This is the server of the Selenium. Here is the framework, and it's important that you need to point to the test specification. And it was even so fast, but I want to show you how it works. I've already started the WebDriver or the Selenium server, but start for you again. And you need to call the Protractor and the configuration file. Hopefully, if the Wi-Fi wants, open the web page and shut down everything. Actually, it doesn't do anything, but they open the page. Okay, once again, and it will open the page and stop the execution. Okay, it's a really simple calculator. We will play with it. Okay, let's do something more interesting. Let's give it a try. Just put some numbers to the calculator. And after that, I want to detail what does it mean, the browser, the element, and so on. Why do we don't need to define them, and so on. Actually, we put two numbers to the calculator, and after that, click to the calculate button or go button. Okay, it was extremely fast. But if you are familiar with Selenium, if you see that the code is shorter, you don't need to define the browser. Okay, it's already defined for you. It's a global variable. Actually, I have some slides about it. And, okay, here it's somewhere. And also the elements. So in the Java words, you need to also, as Corina said, that you need to define a bunch of web elements and organize in lists and so on. And one of the most sexy feature, most of the time, the synchronization is solved here. So you don't need to wait, you don't need to sleep, and everything. Of course, there are exceptions, but this is the most convenient feature of Protractor, that the synchronization is much better than in the Selenium side. Okay, smooth about the finding the elements. In the Selenium side, you are familiar with by IDs or by whatever. What you do if you want to locate an element? Let's open this super calculator. Probably you want to find that UI element based on an ID or any other attribute in the source code. But for the Angular JS, there are some specific feature. If we open the Angular homepage, that the first example shows that we can define models, we can define data bindings. Okay, what is data bindings? So what are the binds? Actually, you can create and store a value in a variable, and in another part, you can load it. Like here, if we say that, if I type in here something, this is this one, come from here. This is Angular specific stuff, and here I can use it. So I say that by a model in the source, if I can go here, as you see, it's very, very little. You need to believe me that ng model first. So by Angular specific tags and attributes, I can locate also elements. Okay, ID, I'm pretty sure that you are familiar with IDs. In the slides, I have some additional stuff. CSS and ID, you are familiar with it. Also, the model I detailed right now, and there are bindings too. In the Angular work, this double curly braces. These are the bindings, so you can locate elements by bindings. This is something similar as the previous presentation. You see that when we want to find more elements, and I want to pick up the first one or the last one, here it's also the code is shorter, more handy, and more comfortable. As you see, I can pick up from the index or get the first or the last element. Even I can locate elements within some elements. Okay, so I can create a locator chains. Okay, as you see here. Okay, maybe the last one is okay. Then I try to find this element, and within this element, I want to locate this one. Okay, it's also a handy and more logical way you can access your UI elements. Yeah, about debugging. I'm pretty sure if you are an automation developer, that you know that it is a really hard work to maintain an automated code. Here, there is a way to execute your statements through an element explorer. It does mean that I can paste here my statements and execute them line by line. Okay, it is about, the whole stuff is about that you want to reach or locate elements, then there is a possibility to execute them line by line. There are other options. I don't want to dive into deeper detail. I'm not a black belt JavaScript developer, but I want to show you, at least in a high level, what kind of possibilities we have. In the, also today we have mentioned about page object models, also one of the questions is about, and I prepared a small example about also in this world, we can use page object models. Here, of course, these elements can be saved to a variable. Okay, you can organize and refactor your code. But it's a common design pattern or coding pattern. If you create an object, you locate and store UI elements as a variable, And also you implement the behavior, so the logical behavior of your page, or a logical part of your application. So this is what you see here. So we define a page object. We find and store these very simple UI elements. And after that, also we define the methods or the behaviors of that particular page. And how it looks like in the test. We need to create an instance, and in the test, you need to drive that page only through the page object. Okay, so, sorry if you are already familiar with it, but if somebody doesn't know this one, then maybe now it's more clearer. And here, it's also a common coding pattern. What I want to show you, also execute the coding pattern is okay, but there is a possibility to execute Protractor tests in non-Angular against non-Angular applications. Basically, you can trigger the driver directly, and practically means browser the driver dot, and everything is the same. Of course, in this case, you cannot use these handy features like modeling and binding and so on, but there is a possibility. So if you want to try it and you test against a non-Angular page, there is a possibility. Okay, you can shorten your code. I don't want to waste the time with this one. Just memorize it that it's mostly useful for Angular, but there is a possibility to test anything others. What are the drawbacks of this framework? Of course, if you are in a Selenium terminology, you can implement tests only in JavaScript. Okay, so in Selenium, you can maybe imagine that you implement in Java and your workmate implement in Python, whatever. Here, only in JavaScript, so it is not a multi-language stuff. And once again, mostly for Angular, you can feel the benefits. Otherwise, it's similar. Otherwise, it's very similar. And lastly, I want to show you some cross-browser automation. Who have heard about Browserstack? Oh, not so many. Source Labs, it's a different service. Okay, these are third-party services where you can hire external browsers. Okay, I want to execute on Firefox and Windows 10 this particular resolution. Okay. And I want to show you how it works in this terminology and show you the Browserstack. So we have a license for that, and I hope my workmate doesn't start any session. And hopefully we can also see the video of the execution. Okay, how does it work? Actually, the test is the same, but your configuration can define the capabilities, as I said. This is about the licensing in Browserstack. As I said, we have a yearly license. And I want to execute on Windows 10 with the Firefox, with this particular version, and with this resolution. And I want to execute this JavaScript file. This is my test specification. Okay. As you see, a new execution starts, and hopefully we will see if the public Wi-Fi wants also that what is the result. Also, we can fetch in this particular environment the video of the execution. It's not a huge one, so hopefully you can see it. Let's just open the browser, insert the two numbers, and probably it will close immediately. There is also an assertion in the end. So cross-browser capabilities also it's usable here. So there is also an option for that. Yeah, and basically that's all. So as I said, I want to give you really a really short and high-level introduction. I'm not a black belt developer, but if you have any question, then just write right now, or in the break, you can come and ask me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Happy. So, the questions, yes. The first one.
Do you have any easy method to move already existing? Yeah, no. I don't know who you are. No, actually, as I saw, the only way is to use both frameworks parallelly. So leave your test as is in Selenium and start to create a Protractor way. That's what we do. Because my client says that, okay, we don't have any budget to rewrite the already existing Selenium tests. That's why we maintain the old tests and the new tests are born in Protractor side. This is what we do. Okay. The second one. Constantly changing UI page, randomly generated attribute values. The randomly generated attribute values, you need to find those ones which are not changed, maybe. Okay, this could be solvable. But the constantly changing UI, this is a general issue with automation. The maintenance. That's why we are here. This is the name of the game. The maintenance issue is so time-consuming that some projects, also I worked as a consultant, some projects are not economical at all. What I could recommend you, if the changing UI is not possible to maintain, then you can test still beyond the UI. What do I mean? Who have heard about gmeter, or maybe use gmeter? Okay. There is a possibility to grab and reproduce the traffic beyond the UI. Of course, we lose cross-browser testing or whatever, but there is a possibility to create a request to the test server, grab the result, and we can evaluate it, the HTML code, the resources, whatever. And in this side, doesn't matter what the UI says. This is a workaround. We lose a lot of things like the cross-browser stuff, but it's much, much more maintainable. That's what I can recommend you. If you are interested, then try to find me and I can show you also right now. Okay, the next one. Yes, we use in one project, and now we try to introduce it with pipeline, and another project is the same client is the Bamboo. So there is a possibility, but I do not have experience yet. Okay. Any picture analyzing feature, as I know, there is no exist, but you can use external libraries. Okay. Can you make comparison between debugging and Protractor, better and more reliable? For Angular, Protractor is much more reliable and better. I have no comparison for the same product, but I have a feeling that if you work against a non-Angular stuff, maybe it's similar, because the game is the same. You try to locate anything, and you need to maintain a lot. Okay. The last one, biggest challenge working with clients. You mentioned requirements are clear. Fortunately, we trained our clients enough. Okay, so now they know what should they write. So they provide the user behavior and in terms of regression tests. So in this case, the requirements are clear, but in the beginning it wasn't clear. So most of the clients think about automation, that it's really nice news. We have 100 manual test cases, you can automate them, we can fire all of the manual testers and never need to be maintained, the automation test and so on. Of course, these are not true. So I think you can reach a very suitable way to get proper requirements.